Welcome back, Metas. Last video, I promised that if we hit 500 likes, I would bring you Power Surge build, and guess what? Here it is. Well, kind of. This build might not be exactly what you were expecting, but don't worry, it absolutely shreds and is super fun to play. And yes, before you ask, it's another crit build because crit is just way too strong right now. So let's dive right into it. Power Surge is a powerful effect that hits enemies with 50% PSI intensity damage and inflicts them with a -40 accuracy debuff for 6 seconds. This effect also cannot hit weak spots or crit. I know it kinda sounds underwhelming, but here's a twist. Each weapon uses Power Surge in its own unique way, so picking the right one can make all the difference. There are currently 4 different Power Surge weapons in the game, and each one comes with its own playstyle. But today, we're talking about Corrosion Automatic Shotgun. Corrosion is the odd one out since it sacrifices the usual status debuff for the ability to crit with Power Surge. With Corrosion, you get a 15% crit chance and it scales your crit damage up to a massive 150% whenever you trigger Power Surge. In addition, it throws in an extra 15% Power Surge damage. This is super similar to the Jaws Unstable Bomber build, so if you haven't seen that video, check it out after this one. For calibration, go with Rapid Shot style with double crit rate. The reason behind this is, it keeps your stacks up even after reloading thanks to the high fire rate and lets you make the most out of that juicy crit damage buff. You can grab Corrosion from the Wish machine for 8000 Star Chrome or try your luck at the Veal. For your secondary, Recurve Crossbow is your best bet with its 15% crit rate boost. This makes your Power Surge crit damage super consistent. If your target does not have a weak spot, switch things up with Bingo or Wildfire. Let's talk about armor. In Once Human, armor comes in 2 different flavors. Key armors that change how you play and set armors that give you bonuses when worn together. For Power Surge, there are 3 different key items. Mayfly Goggles adds 1 extra Power Surge trigger but cuts the damage by 30%. Yellow Paint Mask makes enemies explode on defeat, releasing EMP damage in an area. Gas Mask Hood boosts crit rate by 35% after triggering Power Surge. The Gas Mask Hood is hands down the winner here, because crit rate is the name of the game right now. Some people might suggest using Mayfly Goggles for extra trigger, but trust me, you'll get way more value from 35% crit rate with that 150% crit damage. If you can't get the Gas Mask Hood, go with Mayfly as a backup. If you have no legendary armor, try a 3-piece Falcon set for extra crit rate and damage with a 2-piece Scout set for weapon damage. If you want the best setup, aim for the 4-piece Lone Wolf set. It gives you 60% crit damage at max stacks. I use Bastille Shoes for an extra 10% weapon damage. And if you're thinking of using Shelter set for its elemental damage boost, don't bother. It doesn't perform well due to the loss of crit rate and damage. The trade is simply not worth it. And if you made it this far and enjoying the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button so we can hit 1k subs. Now let's get into mods, the bread and butter of any build. Since this is crit focused build, we're all about crit damage. The most important attribute is Violent for guaranteed crit damage. But if you find a good resonance mod, give it a try. Other useful attributes include weapon damage, elemental damage, magazine capacity, and damage to great ones. For your Corrosion weapon mods, you have 2 solid options. Static Shock shortens Power Surge duration but boosts its damage by 20%. Since our weapon does not apply any Power Surge status at all, there is no downside here. Shock Rampage increases your Power Surge trigger chance by 5 per trigger, stacking up to 20%. This effect will boost your weapon's Power Surge trigger chance to 84%. Both mods are great, so pick the one with the better attributes. For Recurve Crossbow, use the Vulnerability Amplifier mod to boost vulnerability from 8% to 16% for more damage. For your helmet mod, go with Deviation Expert for that extra fire rate and status damage. The downside of range does not really matter as much since we will be really up close. On the mask mod, Targeted Strike is your best friend since you'll always be aiming for bullseye targets. First Electrocution doesn't seem to perform as well. Your jacket mod is the most flexible spot you have. You can either go with a defensive legendary mod with a lot of great attributes, or simply go with blue crit enhancement mod for extra crit rate and damage, or blue flame resonance mod for extra power surge damage. Deadshot is a must for your pants to maximize that crit damage. For your gloves, use crit amplifier, or you can use crit boost if you do not have it. And finally, for boots, slow and steady or covered advance both work really well depending on your situation and playstyle. When it comes to your Cradle setup, here are my top picks. Handgun enhancements, status enhancement, first round blast, steady hand, and tactical combo. My Cradle might look a little bit different. This is because I am currently playing in a hard mode scenario, but feel free to mix things up based on your needs. This rotation should feel very familiar. Start with a heavy attack using your axe to gain fortification. Quickly cancel mid-air by switching to your crossbow, hit a weak spot for bullseye, then switch to your shotgun to dish out some serious DPS. And don't forget to summon your Deviant before you start shooting. Lone Wolf's Whisper from the Hound boss is the best option in my opinion. Now you might be wondering, is this build really worth spending your Starcrom on? I would absolutely say so. This build is not just strong and effective, it's also incredibly fun to play. Plus, it's pretty cheap to transition into if you're already running another crit build. All you need is the right helmet and the Corrosion shotgun, and you're ready to go. I have had a blast running this build in hard mode. There's just something special about seeing a bunch of numbers on your screen with a shotgun in your hand and blasting the enemies from close range. Of course, there's a small downside. You need to get up close and personal to make the most of your shotgun. So if you're keeping your distance, you'll do a little bit less damage, but your power surge damage should not decrease. When it comes down to rating this build, I would definitely give it an S tier. It's got the damage, versatility, and really fun playstyle. Here are some pro tips to help you pump out extra 10, 20, or 30k DPS. Keep your crit rate to crit damage ratio around 1 to 2 for the best results. Go for Shattered Bread or Whimsical Drink for your consumables. Also, you can stack buffs like Fire Rate, crit damage, PSI intensity, and weak spot damage with pan-fried fish. Apply the bullseye buff every 2 clips to get the most out of your gun. For weapon attachments, use an extended break, tactical laser sight, and shotgun drum mag. Accuracy matters more than recoil in my opinion. In the late game, I use tungsten shotgun AP bullets. I do not recommend using blasting shotgun AP ammo because the damage difference is simply not worth the cost. Thanks for sticking around. I hope this guide answered all your questions. If you got more, drop them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more Once Human content. Until next time, take care.